and welcome you, and particularly welcome the RFS for the presentation that they're going to conduct in a second. But welcome back. I mean, it was interesting this morning, wasn't it? Like old friends meeting. We haven't seen each other since December, and it was, it was nice. Call for apologies. Chris Matthews is coming, I did hear, and he's late.
Chris, be late. He'll be about 15 minutes late.
No apology. No. Now, I'm test your memory now because I want somebody to move confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 14th of December. You were moving, thank you. And seconded, Jeff Smith, gotcha.
You got it.
Tiffany. Councillor Smith. Now, it's my pleasant task now to introduce our guests and presentation by the RFS, and I'm not real good on names, and I know there's Renee and Callum, and I can't remember. Sorry. But anyway, I'm not sure who's going to lead off, but I hand over to you. Thanks.
All right. Obviously, my name is Callum Clark. I'm the risk planning coordinator for Northwestern area. Got Nathan Fisher with me. He's one of our risk planners. Renee and Monica from the Emily Gwydir team here, based out of Narrabri and Moree. Just wanted to talk you through what our plans are regarding the Warialda Community Protection Plan and how we're looking to implement some fire into the environment, reduce the hazard to the community around here. So I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, pay our respects to elders past, present, and recognise their connection to the country. So a bit of an overview in regards to the community protection plan here. So as we know, there's large fuel loads around Warialda. We're all concerned about that. The community protection plan was originally approved in 2016, and we're currently working towards a new updated plan, working with the PES team in producing that one. So some of the works have been completed over the previous years. We've had a few burns being done around the Warialda community. And as we know, it's obviously multiple tenures. We've got private, we've got Lao, we've got council, and privately owned lands. So our aim is to supplement the current asset protection zone that you guys and alongside our RFS team have implemented, and provide protection to the community of Warialda. We're looking to reduce the fuel loads over a 7-year burn period. So it's a mosaic burn pattern around the whole community, which we'll look at in a minute. And it's done over a 7-year period, and then we roll in to reintroduce that after 7 years. Yeah. So just an overview map of the current approved community protection plan. So the blue shaded area are what we call the strategic fire advantage zones. So we can implement fire more than we usually can just in the natural environment within those zones. The yellow shaded area, it's the asset protection zone, which you're probably mostly familiar with the works that have been conducted around Warialda. And the pink shaded area, which is all the residential, and it's a residential preparation area. So that's more targeted for our community engagement. So our previous burns, as you can see on the map, both wildfire and hazard reductions. So a number of them have been completed. Most of the burns were done around the 2018 mark. There was some done in 2021 in terms of hazard reduction. And there was a wildfire back in 2019 to the top right of the map. So the hazard reductions that have already been completed back in 2018, they will fall back into our 7-year burn plan window. So 7 years from when they were completed in 2018, they'll be back on the books to burn again. Just want to note with that 7-year burning regime, that is only, we can only allow to put fire on the ground once every 7 years. So there's a lot of other strategies we can implement, which we're looking at, both private landholders and us ourselves in, grazing, spraying, slashing, So I know that we may have some concerns around only putting fire on the ground every 7 years, but that's all we're allowed to do in the code. So if we look to do other methods throughout that 7-year period that we're not putting any fire in there, so put some goats in there, they've proven pretty, they've done a positive impact in some of the other communities that we've put them in.
Callum, while you're on that, can you report on how it went at Gwydir, the goat job? It was very expensive, I believe.
Yeah, so I'll let Renee comment on.
Sorry, you can take it later if you want.
No,
No, all good. I'll stand this side now. So yeah, it really was beneficial. The goats are out there. It was, quite expensive.
Yeah.
But the benefit that the community actually got out of it is, I think, is what's led to the fact that we are now looking at. We've got some other ideas between Nathan and I about putting some goats in some other areas of Gwydir as well. So there's certainly the positives are coming out of it, and that's why we're now looking at expanding that, and we've used them elsewhere since. So there's definitely a benefit in it.
If it's for, how do you fence them in? It's up to the, we hire contractors, they come in, they put up their own temporary fencing.
Yeah, like electric fence.
Yeah, that's correct.
And move them around as required. So they may focus on a small targeted area first, and then we just keep moving the herd around as they eat out the paddock and reduce the risk to the community. So,
and the beauty of using the goats over, your cattle and your sheep is the goats will eat just about anything. And when it comes to all your saplings, which are located, which obviously being a fine fuel increases the hazard of fire intensity. Utilising the goats, they'll bring back those saplings and they'll fall over and die eventually as well. So, they're a very beneficial implement to mitigate the risk of fire in the landscape.
So was it expensive because the contractor fees were expensive, or did something else happen to cause this?
It's just what they quote. So we're charged per head for each location, and obviously the hazard isn't reduced overnight. So it does end up extending. That's a cost that comes under the RFS.
Yeah, they have to keep the water up to them, don't they? So there's a bit involved.
Yeah. But the cost of grazing is far. It reduces the risk to the community.
It outweighs the risk. We have a wildfire go through and someone's killed. You can't put a cost on that person's life. So paying for some goats to reduce that risk it's a no-brainer. We
go through our RFF funding to fund that. So
just a really trivial point. I noticed you're calling it wildfire. Very Americanised term. I was never a wildfire when I was, until a few years ago. Bushfires. Now, bushfires, or you lit them, but you're going wildfire.
Yeah. I think it's a term more used in our risk planning space rather than, I've always called them a bushfire, but when you refer back to our risk planning, it's previous wildfire seasons, and it's more of an international term than. So we'll move on quickly. If there's no other questions around that, just got the proposed overview. So we've split it up starting in financial year 24 all the way through to 30. Some years it looks like there's a fair bit of burning done, and then some of the other years there might be minimal burning, but they're strategic locations. If we go through, I'll go through each year briefly, but that's just an overview. So a large amount of burning being conducted around town. So this will be year one. So this is what we're working on currently. So there's 4 burns, quite a large area of mostly bush. You got anything else on that? 371's in that. And then we go on to year 2, which is very minimal burning, but there's some burning in the southern end at APZ. Year 3, there's a couple of larger burns there. Get on to year 4. But more burning around, I think that's a high school down the bottom. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the area.
And the idea is the reason why we're not sort of doing all of the south or all of the north or whatever at once is so that it will allow the ecosystems to survive in that area, so that we're not, wiping out all of the food sources. They can go, if it doesn't, if they're in this paddock, they can go to that paddock.
Can we look at the previous slide, please, Renee? There's just a question. lot, Mark.
That is lot 317.
It was the one before that.
One before that. Yeah.
371.
317.
317.
It's in there. It's in, no,
No, it's just that blue one, the next.
Year one.
No, I think it's.
We'll go back to year one, that one.
That's not long.
that's 317.
That's part of 317.
What's the bit between there and the bypass?
That's the,
That's fire truck.
yeah,
There's a fire truck.
No, that's green,
yeah.
green timber. Isn't that 317?
More.
Showing how much.
Is there a
Concern regarding that?
Oh, is it?
No, sorry. It's that.
But no, none of that's got to be industrial. So.
Can you explain why 317 is an issue? They weren't-
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
A lot of that where the bypass is, that was before the bypass was built.
Okay.
All that got burnt.
Some of that would have been
Yeah,
burned,
a bit of it.
but all of it's a bit hard to say. It went into that.
This is the only map wildfire we have. So I'm sorry that it's got an old background. The bypass comes in here, comes up and around.
Yeah.
And this
That
is
red
the only
area.
mapping that
That
I
would have
can
been about
find.
5 years ago.
Yeah, so that's 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
That's about right.
Yeah. So that's why that particular part is actually not part of that first
That's right.
year. That's why we
So
come
you can
back.
see that.
down the track.
Now, see the dark blue there on the corner of the bypass?
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that the Aboriginal land, 317?
It could possibly be, but we work with them
It is.
to get all of the permissions that we
You're
need.
going to burn all of that block.
We liaise with them
Yeah.
to see what we can do. And obviously, if there's Aboriginal artifacts and stuff in there, we plan so that you can burn around or.
We've been, it hasn't, it's been walked and walked. They didn't find it.
Yeah.
Anything in there, I can tell you that.
We were going to put the bypass through there and we couldn't get permission in the end. But we did all that work.
So the plan is to try and, obviously, haven't gone to all landholders yet to get permissions. I've gone to the ones, we've started going to the ones for year one. And we'll work with the landholders as we come through each stage to try and progress and come to an agreement. A lot of, I think they're the only two blocks that aren't mapped in the current community protection plan. But from memory, I think they may be in the next one.
Can you tell me what month you're going to start your burning?
Well, it really depends on our weather conditions.
I understand that, but
Um,
ideally, what month?
ideally,
It would either be like winterish.
I would hope so.
yeah, definitely.
It would definitely not be during fire season, put it that way,
Well,
because
you know, even September's too late.
but the plan, like idealistically, what we'd love to do is have it already shelf ready.
Yeah.
And then come the 1st of July, go, okay, does it weather suit today? No. Does it weather suit tomorrow? Does it weather? And then once we've got the weather, that's what we
we're
as a
looking-
team are working towards, is to have these birds effectively shelf ready.
Mm.
So that when the right weather conditions are there, all of our environmentals, all of our permissions, everything is done and dusted, and we can literally get the volunteers out and.
Well, that'd be good, Renee.
So we-
the burns have been too late.
And when we look at planning, for me, I look at Q1 and Q4.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the middle of those. So Q1 being Q1 of the financial year.
Oh, yeah.
Q1 and Q4. So that's how we look at forest burning. Once we get into the Q2 and Q3, they're more of our grassland burns, which is
Yeah.
fine. But
So realistically, it's like April
outside of the
to
area.
September.
Yeah.
It's where we like to do these kind of burns.
And that's all in consultation with our fire behaviour analysis
Yeah.
as well. So if we pick a date, they confirm if it's.
No, I think the point I'd make is if you get to September and you haven't done it because you haven't been able to with the weather, I'd say don't do it.
Yeah, and that was so there was a bit of push on us later last year to try and implement some of this, especially down this bottom end. We had an extensive conversation with our FBNs, our fire behaviour analysis, with the district manager and some other key parties that were involved, and we decided to push it back because we
We were pushing
this
into
season,
October. It was
we're
just
pushing into
getting too bad.
October, and
It's too dangerous.
for sure. So I'll go back through. Sorry, where did we end up? So yeah, year 3. So that takes into account that burn back in 2018. That burn scale back in 2018. Go on to year 4. Then year 5. Few scattered around the joint. Year 6. onto the final year of year 7, and then we roll back through.
So have you got a plan for those blocks in between the burns? Yeah, 7 years, you well know, ridiculous.
Sure.
So have you got a plan to?
Well, that's where we look to use one of those other methods to try and possibly throw some, some goats in, or
Ultimately, the responsibility for the outside of the 7 years, us coming in and burning it, does fall back with the land manager. So whomever that may be. In saying that, we don't just come in and go, oh, we burned it last year, see you later. We would help identify what the best option is moving forward.
I'm talking about the Crown land.
And yeah, look, and most certainly, like there's opportunity there, like even you guys to work, like council to work with Crown or whatever, and get permission for you guys if you wanted to manage that, and then apply for the funding to cover it from us. So there's like those types of opportunities are there as well.
Is there any chance of getting our fire breaks extended? I know what the answer will be, but
Yeah, look,
and when you really should be pushing that way.
our normal everyday code that we work to is metre APZ. So the fact that you guys have got a 40 metre APZ is phenomenal.
Try to get 150.
Yeah,
So
understand that, but that's where these come in. This is the special fire, the SFAS, the Special Fire Protection Zone.
I keep saying it, we don't want to knock everything down,
Yeah.
just to get it.
But that's the idea of these kind of burns, and looking at doing that, and then working out what could be done in the other years between the 7 years is to go from, so we'll still do the 40 metre APZ, that will still happen. And then we're doing all of this stuff on the outside with the intent of it actually extending the footprint without it being an APZ, because the fact that we got a 40 metre APZ for Warrior, very, very.
It's the best thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
In the Northern Territory, I've got a daughter that lives up there, and they burn off every winter, like do big burn offs.
Yep.
And they do that religiously every winter.
So the territory is a little bit different in that a lot of their burns are cultural burns, and they have a different environmental standard code that they have to deal with, that they have to comply by.
So we apply the bushfire environmental assessment code, and that's all we have the ability to apply.
Yeah.
Up there, a lot of them may be their own land managers. Depending on the governance of that land, they are the own land managers, and they can line up.
Just done, and I just researched it again, but it's just done for fire safety. Like
I agree.
Can we get
We have had this conversation.
Here? 917 or whatever it is, whatever it is.
As a private entity, they'd be able to attach themselves to the LLS Act, which allows the boundary fence clearing of a much larger distance. And if their neighbours then do that, that's where you're going to start tipping into the realm of, around 80 metres of clearance between properties. But as for from where we stand, we're bound by our code, and we need to stick to those environmental rules that we can.
So the LLS have a bigger footprint of fence clearing APZ, so they can go up to that 40 metres, whereas we can't do approval for that. So there is some other ways you may be able to work around it and have a talk to LLS and see what their code allows.
No, there's other ways. We're not going to do it.
but so, I mean, this is so easy.
Yeah.
Up there.
And it depends also, like for us, when we go to do, regardless of where it is, when we're working through that code, we've actually got to identify the types of trees or plants that grow in that area, and that changes depending on where it is. So for Warrior, it is 7 years. If it was just grassland, then it's 2 years.
Yeah.
So it very much depends. So based on all of the environmental, restrictions we've got to deal with through our code, that's where the 7 year comes from. It's not just us going, oh, 7's a good number. Let's work on that. So it's based on the restrictions that we have to work within for our code.
Changing the subject a little bit, have you got these plans for Bingra and the villages in the Shire?
Not as yet, but we're working on it.
So that comes into our the next thing is, which is our next gen risk plans that we're currently writing on.
Next week.
Yeah.
BFMC meeting next week.
There's a BFM meeting next week, and that's 2B. So we're hoping the land managers come with their treatment data of what they do for the next 5 years. So that's a 5-year plan. A lot of those areas that you've talked about, Bingra, a lot of them are mapped in there as focus areas. So they will be looked heavily upon to conduct things like this. I've sent this off to a couple of different area commands, and they're taking this kind of 7-year plan, or depending on their topography and environment, and it's been heavily used. So we're running with it around the state to try and get these CPPs actually being processed and actually worked on, because like this one's been done since 2016. We've done some burning, but I feel that we as an agency need to step up and push. That's where we're at today.
We do have a HR burn plan for sometime in the next couple of months at Coolatai as well.
Yeah.
And we're working with some areas around Gwydir. So there's stuff still happening while there's not necessarily a 7-year plan. But the beauty of that is that if once we deliver that plan, let's say the one at Coolatai, automatically it will be rescheduled for their 7 years. So it'll sit in the system effectively ready so that it doesn't get forgotten about in 7 years' time, regardless of whose backside is in the seat.
I'd be pretty interested in North Star Crop Creek when you've got, ripe crop all around those villages.
Yeah.
It'd be a hazard.
So it's a work in progress, but this was sort of one that come up for varying different reasons. And so it kind of got our attention first. And so it became our focus. So the plan is big picture. We'd love to do it for all of our towns across our area. And we strive to do that. But yeah, Warrior was just lucky to be the one that we've been able to focus on first.
So there's some more mosaic burning that we're looking to do throughout the environment. I think Dan and Monica's looking at one very shortly around the Copeton area. So this obviously your side of the dam.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of burning that we're looking to introduce into the environment. I think we're on to questions.
Oh, sorry.
A question, I'm probably not so much down this way, but up the way when they're doing the inland rail along the rail corridor, who's responsible for all the weeds along the railway line? I mean, there's a big fuel load there at the present minute, and something. I mean, I don't know, probably RTAC or something or other, but I don't know who's responsible for that.
Yeah, so it's the same as if it was council-owned land. If it was a road reserve, it's a railway thing. It becomes road reserve is council. Railway is the railway. So whoever the land manager is, so whether it's ARTC or John Holland or
It won't be them, it's going to be handed over to RTAC, isn't it? So it's going to be their problem. Just there's a massive fuel load going along there. So
there is.
And there's opportunities for us to work with them too. Like we've already started, Mon and I have already started some conversations to do some, like in the Narrabri area when we know that there's no trains are running, they're going to tell us, and we're going to plant some birds within the railway. So there's no reason that we can't do the same with them. But yeah, we need them to be able to come to us and say, yeah, we're happy for you to introduce it, and these are the areas we want to focus
on. They've got to come to you, have they?
Well, we can do it as a code of, like, as a duty of care, where it becomes a hazard complaint of sorts. But it's very hard for us to force them to burn from a hazard complaint, because it becomes effectively a 6-metre boundary fence, APZ, that they need to keep clear so that fire can't leave their land onto someone else's.
Yeah.
So it's easier for us to do it as a burn if they acknowledge they've got an issue and, hey, can you help us deal with this?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
we can go on and have that conversation.
Rates of fire as well.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of like there's I reckon there's some safety issues there. And I mean, the Johnson grass will go 8-10 foot high, and all of a sudden it'll block off the line of sight for the safety zone for the trains.
Yeah.
And that's why I sort of asked that question was, well, if it's going to grow that high, who's going to be responsible? Look,
if we cite it and we acknowledge there's a problem, we have a duty of care to contact them process to get.
But you won't do that, though, because you're not going to wait around and go around checking the railway. I know you're going to wait till they ring you.
Well, it's generally if we're out doing inspections, because we do interface inspections as well. So we are out and about all the time. So yeah, if we're out going to Cropper Creek, for example, to do an interface inspection and we notice the railway line is bad, let's say we've got a duty of care.
It's our duty of care to raise the duty of care.
Yeah, right.
And, we then contact them and go, hey, look, we've found an issue. We found a hazard on your land. You need to manage it.
So that more or less going back to the local RFS fellows?
No.
Going back and telling them?
They can raise a hazard complaint. Any member of the public can raise a hazard complaint.
Yeah.
But us as salaried staff officers, we raise duty of care. If we see something, if we pull past a block in town here and it's growing, it's 12 foot high and it's up against someone's house, it's us to then go, we've identified a hazard. So it's our duty of care to then take that and action it.
Yeah, righto.
As you can see, there's multiple blocks around the whole of the area. There's a lot of work in that space that gets created.
Also got to know when to stop there as well, because a hazard doesn't just stop at a boundary fence. Find that, even though that's in the rail corridor, might be on this side of the fence as well that needs slash and all.
Yeah, well, that goes back to sort of what John was saying back originally with all the cultivated crops along the railway line as well.
Yeah,
You jump into the railway line as well, just as quick if you're burning off.
That's right. So most of the time when we get a hazard complaint, it's normally we may uphold it to the complainant's land, but we may turn it up. Sorry, to the land that's in question, and then we may turn around to the complainant and say, well, here's a duty of care on your land because you haven't managed your land either.
So we can help you deal with your neighbour, but you actually need to do your part too.
Yeah.
So it gets a bit messy, but
Yeah.
Because when we have to assess both sides of the fence or the boundary.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? Probably handle them on the way through. I think most of the questions.
Yeah, so we are looking to implement this fairly shortly and move on the process, and we'll keep the contacts with council, keep them going, and we'll tell you where we're up to and how we're progressing with things. And obviously, we'll be sending some information to you to try and get some information back on landholders and things like that.
But yeah, can't stress how important next week's BFMC is. If you could try and have at least someone there for us.
We're very appreciative of the RFS with our attempt to get that OPZ, and we wouldn't have got it. Wouldn't have had a hope without the help of you people. And it's been, although we wanted to go a lot wider, we're very, very pleased with what we've got.
Yeah.
So we've just got to keep it maintained now, keep it down. But that's been good. We've had money to do that. So.
Yep. And I mean, as I say, that avenue is still there for, there'll be funding opportunities opening up again for next financial year shortly. So yeah, by all means. By all means, submit requests because the opportunity is there for it.
A lot of that comes out of this next BFMC meeting with the treatments. If we have your map treatments on what you would like to do.
Think of us when you meet up. That's it.
And we put that into the system, and then we just can apply for RFF funding after that for those treatments. So
you honour that, Carl? That's all.
Guardian systems.
Yes, I'll be there.
Good. All right.
that's all.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for having us.
I have now call for declarations of interest, gifts received, and conflicts of interest. Additional late items, none. All right, look, with the permission of the meeting, I'll go ahead with item 7.2, begin with that, I should say. The construction operation of the feedlot, mainly because Patsy here, and that will clear her up to get that out of the road. Most of us, everybody except this, I think, was there today for the inspection. And I believe that was well worth our time. So anyway, I'll hand over to you, Pat, if you want to give us an overview. Because today's the day we're looking for approval.
Yes. So yeah, the report is meeting notes, obviously. And the draft conditions really is what you obviously need to decide on whether you want to approve it or not approve it, and the draft conditions associated with the approval. So we've the main impediments from my point of view, there wasn't many, was that to try and decide on an access point off the highway. The other one from my point of view, obviously there was 3 or 4 complaints coming regarding dust, noise, river.
You say 3 or 4?
Might be more than just the one across the creek.
Yes.
No.
One was from Maureen, which is really, stating the same thing. Yeah.
Had a big effect down there.
So we're
Someone obviously had more of an issue if they're coming from Moree.
Well, it was more of a generalised, and I think it was to back up the main complaint. Where is it here now? The almost from the Moree branch of the ALP.
Oh,
Did they have any basis for their complaint or?
It was the three standards: noise impact of cattle, dust, smell, distance from the Gwydir, impact on water quality, groundwater impacts, inadequacy of effluent pond capacity and location of floodplain. And not actually where the feedlot is going to be and the sediment ponds isn't in the floodplain.
No.
And the effluent ponds will be calculated the size of them in accordance with floodplains. So
Where would they have got that information? It's been on public.
This was,
Yeah.
this was to support one of the.
Is this
Yeah.
person, do they pay rates in Gwydir but live working in Moree?
I wouldn't, I don't know that information, to tell you the truth. But I think it was to support a complaint across the river.
The one she was talking about.
Yeah. And they were all similar to each other. One was from Darryl Anderson at Environment.
Yeah.
He was worried about flood flows, but it's the site of the development is above.
I was certainly worried about all those things too, but with the inspections delayed all those.
The other one, Harrison Pastoral, was mainly to do with odour, and they're well and truly outside. They're not even a bordering property.
It's an impossible thing to measure.
Well, you can do your best, and that's why there is the guidelines.
But there's no method of measuring it.
You can predict
Yes, where it's going to go.
where it's going to go, and obviously, the bigger the feedlot is, the more odour is produced. This is a small feedlot based on, it's nowhere near the size of a mile. 30,000 head.
Interrupt you for a second. Do you remember the organisation we went in Tamworth that were going to put out a
They're
guideline?
still working.
Are they?
They're about.
Because that was to do with odour.
They're about to release their draft.
They were going to print a map. Yes. For suitable sites, weren't they?
Yeah, it's about to be released.
That's still coming.
We had
Recognise that Dave Moore was outside but it impacted his life.
No, the feedlot business. That was paddock feeding.
It was the paddock feeding, was it?
It was feedlotting in a paddock, really.
Yeah. Yes, but
Yeah.
Which there is still, as far as I can tell, there's still no guidelines around that from a planning point of view.
No, it's not.
As long as you maintain a certain amount of coverage on the ground cover, even if they're not eating it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that once you start feedlotting cattle on grain, their biome and their stomach changes. So they will only eat the grain that you feed them anyway.
They go as far as
Yeah. So, anyway, that's beside the point. Really, the site is conducive to what they want to do as far as I'm concerned. It was just their concerns were regarding reporting and doing extra work to make sure that we're not hurting any groundwater or surface water that's nearby. I don't agree with the fact that even if it's on shale, that they still don't need to do water testing.
Yeah.
Because, yes, shale's not permeable, or reasonably not permeable, but when groundwater hits shale, it runs.
Right.
So it goes somewhere. So, they still need to do their water testing, groundwater testing downstream.
I think they're happy to do that, aren't they?
Yeah, I have changed the conditions.
She seemed right on top of it, didn't she? She seemed really good.
I think she was the one that's, when I've known Robert for a fair while, they're good people. But she seems to have a handle on it, and I feel a lot happier. Yeah, and she sort of got all the pretty switched on.
Yes. So I have changed the draft conditions of consent based on this morning's meeting.
That's with the ball.
Yeah. And I've taken out the section, 94 contributions, because they're going to use their own
We
entities.
need to amend that recommendation, don't we? Probably. Well, yeah, and the reason for taking out section 8 is because they're not going to use our road at all.
No, they're not using Halls Road. So anything reference to Halls Road has been taken out. And the access has been changed to existing main Nadu property access. I've also inputted where required that if they're going to do water testing, they can use the existing bore.
Yeah, that you've changed that, have you?
Yeah. Not that they need to put in a new board to just do that job. I have put some stipulations in regarding the disposal of solids and effluent around that particular testing will be at least 100 metres away from that.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't get contaminated. There was a couple of other little spelling mistakes that I found along my way this morning. And I think that's all I changed. I kept in the soil testing and the water testing, just changed the fact that they could use their current bore. I don't think there was anything else to change, really.
I haven't really got a direct recommendation, have we?
Yeah.
Where is it?
was.
Yeah.
It's in the middle, is it? No, it's in the afternoon. I just went to the end, I couldn't see. Oh, thank you.
I'll move the recommendation.
No, well, wait a minute, we may have to order it, do we?
Oh, well, I just looked at that, it'd be only with those mentioned,
Oh, there.
water, testing and soil testing.
Yeah.
The only changes, wasn't it? And the use of Gwydir Road.
Yeah, we're taking out anything to do with the Halls Road. Alex, I did leave in the bit, they need to do a site distance analysis for their main entrance. Are you happy for that still to be there?
Yes.
Yeah, before, just to be sure they do have that, site distance.
But Patsy, your recommendation is that, it's adopting the draft conditions.
Yeah. And
You'll amend
Permanent
the
consent.
draft condition.
So we, after consent, we'll add as amended
Yes.
and detailed, and the
Yeah.
new one will be
Yeah.
attached to
Are you
the.
happy with that, Patsy?
Yeah.
David, councillor Carlton, you've moved that recommendation.
Yeah, I'll move that recommendation.
I need a second. We've got a second from our feedlotter down here. Councillor Milligan. Is there any questions or any further discussion? It's pretty important, right? And as I said earlier, I think it's important to go and visit those sites. I'm glad we did. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, Chris, but I can assure you, had you been there, you would have agreed that it is a safe spot for there's, I think, zero chance of contamination in the river. And that was always my concern.
Even with the truck movements going in off the road, you've only got, 1.2 weekly
Yeah.
cattle and.
Yeah.
And feed half of, or daily, 3.6 weekly, so it's not as hard.
Not very busy.
It's only a small scale, it's 990 head,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a lot.
No.
That's the other thing, you could put 900 cattle in your cattle yards,
Yeah.
if people do, and
You could.
you wouldn't even,
Weenie,
do anything, well, that's right.
which is exactly, but yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to move in a second. I'm going to put the motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Against no. Very good. Thanks, Kelsey, for that.
I'm out.
You don't have to go. You don't have to go, but I was,
Get your other copy.
I've got other things to do, so.
go back to that.
My rubbish with me.
7.1.
Thanks, Pat.
7.1. Item 7.1. You want to go next?
Yeah, can I just, on item 7.1, the attached letter is incorrectly dated. It was received by us on the 8th of February, 2024, although it's dated 8th of February, 2023. So that's incorrect. And the information laid out in the report quickly shows that, in my opinion, if the state and federal governments actually maintain reasonable cash flow into councils that are doing grant funded works, this would not have occurred. And we've put in place measures to stop it happening again. But I think it's important that it's a bit disappointing that the auditor's letter didn't actually address what we pointed out to them was the reason why it happened. And we've raised that with them, and they just don't see it as their role to go and perhaps suggest that the government should meet their funding obligations.
Thing is, I don't think it's a hanging offence, so we have to move on. So can I have a just the report there, Chair? Councillor Egan, Councillor Galvin, I'll go this time. I'll put the motion, those in favour say aye. Against, no. Carried.
I'll put this because I wanted to go through the
Yeah.
people.
Organisation of community.
Happy to answer any questions you might have. It's our standard report of what happens in the most exciting department in the workshop.
Yeah,
Yes.
just, I see we're going to start some, 2 registered nurses, or 3,
Four now.
As from yesterday.
and they're girls that are already, or boys that are already working there.
They're employed, by us as AINs.
Yep.
And council will be assisting them to become registered nurses.
And
And therefore established people in the community with skin in the game, so to speak, so they're likely to stay.
So they're going
Exciting.
full time?
No.
They are. But I had an email from Sharon asking if I knew of any bursaries that could assist these people financially.
But there's all sorts of bursaries. Would any of those, it's too late now, I suppose, with the country education, they're not school leavers.
It's not a significant amount of money though. You know, the highest one in our report was $2,000 from that country education fund.
Yeah.
They need more money than that. I'm just wondering if we could, can we research that and try and find something for them?
Sure.
It's always in this area, like for people that are doing registered nursing, there is all sorts of grants out there, and there's one from there's a Dr. Hunter grant. Dr. Hunter always, but it's in this area.
Yes.
Because Peter Butler actually received that grant. So there is lots out there that would be beneficial, especially, and that's a big thing, I think, especially to have 4, because if they're in the region, they're going to stay here.
And we're the first, the UNE have said that we're the first council that's actually shown that initiative, and now Maureen is following along. So that's something you should all be really proud of in this room.
Yeah.
And we are giving them, paying for their accommodation and travel to get there, but the fees, etc., they
will help.
Yeah.
Also,
and the time off.
time away.
Yeah.
My attitude to this is that this has been mandated by the government.
Mhm.
We should be going to the government, pointing out this concern or the problem that we're running into, and ask for help.
Sure. Yeah. We can chase that up.
Yeah.
Ridiculous when you've got a mob of nurses about 50 yards away all night.
Yeah, I know it is.
It's
I mean, that's the thing that really could be pointed out, I reckon.
And, the government funding, there is government funding, but they're only funding organisations that can provide the 24/7 nursing. They're not providing people that can't with incentives to help people. It's and crazy because we have low care residents. You know, they don't need, Sharon would tell you over and over again what a waste of time it is to have an RN on overnight.
Yeah.
Unless someone's ill and then we
But you got the
roster
hospital.
them. Yeah, it's frustrating. Another example of city policy. You'll note on page 107 that we're moving forward in the world with our tourism and using QR codes as a tourism initiative. There was talk some time ago about having self-manned counters, but the QR codes are much cheaper and they've sort of taken over in the world of tourism more so than the self-help counters. Yeah. Become the norm. But happy to answer any other questions you might have of that report.
It's good also, I've got a few things I saw in here, all positives.
Yep.
To see when I read that the camping donations, like what's,
Yeah.
you know, you often wonder how much goes into the honesty box, but that's, you know, that's good.
Much more than we expected.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, so that's
A lot
good.
more than we were getting before we put it up.
And the merchandise sales, that's
Yeah.
quite high.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was high. There was something else.
A lot of people like to buy it. I mean, when they start. Any other questions?
No, I think so.
You haven't got anything? Well, what's the, probably wrong report in mine, Honey Festival in Canning, what's going on? Change the date if they want. We got an email.
That's fine today.
Because of the heat. from-
Oh, no, I was hoping that was.
Yeah, yeah.
So is it going to come forward?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent.
I'm not sure. I think it's the end of.
Oh, sorry, no.
I didn't read that.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's the Honey Festival's.
we got an email the other day, take it off our calendar.
It's been booked.
Yeah, I presumed it was going to come out away from the summer. Heat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a lot of negative feedback.
Yeah.
We held it the wrong time of day anyhow.
Yes.
3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, yes, okay. All right, is there any questions of Leah?
The progress report, that's in a different agenda, is it?
Let's get an action. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's in the.
It's in the same one, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, it
we
is.
can talk to you about that as well. This is our quarterly, or actually pop it in monthly now.
Yeah.
So you know how we're tracking against our organisational goals.
I was just going to say another positive, like everything was going ahead when I read there. Yeah, like so.
I'm just always frightened I'm going to run a red light in this report.
Yeah.
You're right, and that's how we feel.
Only a couple of pretty cool. Yeah, otherwise, it's something I've got a couple of.
So we're required.
Signs, when we're talking about
Ah, yeah,
the,
electronic board.
yeah, where are they? What's happening with those?
I'm not sure. It's not.
I know Bingris end is not happening till we get the new building, but I
Well,
thought.
it should be nearly up.
I'll get back to you about the Warriolda one.
Yeah.
So I'll
Where
send
did we
an email
decide to
around
put it?
the information centre.
Centre on the, we were doing the double-sided ones
So outside, isn't it?
on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
I will
And I
email
thought
you.
it was going up
Soon.
last financial year.
Yeah.
Yes, I
You know
do.
that trouble with
When we
me.
decided.
Fine.
Helen will have an answer for you by the end of the meeting.
It must be in the calendar.
I see all, most of the social services things I noticed were completed, 100% complete.
Yes.
I don't know. Stop it.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after that, it's also the other things that.
Had a table last year.
When I was overseas.
There you go.
All
I
right,
haven't got a move on it. so-
now I'm going to do that. Someone like to make a recommendation, please. Go ahead.
I've got a question, an electronic scoreboard coming for the football club.
Yeah,
It's here.
in the report here somewhere. Yeah.
I know it's here. But stand up.
Who's going to put it up?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Well, I know it's here because I was talking to someone and they said to be brought up here.
It says in the report,
Yeah,
it's not erected yet, but it's in the report. Yeah.
I've added the staff researching what additional resources are available.
Thank you. Yeah. So, yes, we're going to move And Max has just spoken to me that he's included that we look for bursary type money for the RM training, and I need a second. Galvin, any questions, put the motion, those in favour say aye.
And Leah, if you're looking to Dr. Hunter's thing too, because he does usually puts a scholarship out there every year. Every year too. We usually give $1,000 to that.
Yeah,
Been to
the Hunter one, we do, yeah. Item 7.4, Executive Services Report. The author is Max.
I'm happy to take any questions.
Let's ask how you build a 10-bed boarding
No,
school.
you can't. It's more like 600,000. One of the conditions is that they have to give us a genuine estimated cost.
That's not fruitful.
I'll tell you what, we see a bit of that.
Yeah.
We do see a bit of that.
The company name's intriguing too, I thought.
Okay. Yeah. I was this BJ Davis know that we're awaiting payment of lodgement for this. Here we are. Should I tell him?
Where is this?
Oh, it's on the first round page.
42.
142. Second bottom one.
Right.
Surely.
Yeah, no, be told.
You know him, he might know.
Maybe not.
I'll show you how you can save it.
Oh, no, I better tell him.
Oh, that doesn't work. Oh, I'll show
I
you
mean,
how you do it.
There would be correspondence would have been sent out.
Yeah.
Telling you how much money.
But no, right. I haven't got anything written down here. Yeah, I didn't, I think it's just down.
Is that information what that you find useful? Good.
Oh, that's right.
It's easier to read.
This one, right. Yes.
And you can see where something's happening.
We'll send it to you.
Yeah,
We're able to listen to this
you'll have to.
back in our armchairs and
We'll organise to get a podcast so you can.
Well, I remember when I was on council.
Well, that's you're going to attend every council meeting and when you weren't there.
Am I?
Yeah.
No, good.
You can throw stuff.
he'll be able to keep his hand down.
Koala matters. I didn't realise there were lots of koala people.
Where elder koalas are quite exciting, the fact that there's more and more coming in or are being found.
Well, no, I had an email from a fellow, I think his name is Ian Brockford. And he doesn't live anywhere near here, but he really loves the Oscar's Way apparently, and he visits here and Bingara quite a lot. And he was, you would have got this, he was commending us on the koala thing that's done out here. But he said that he came through recently and was a juvenile koala right on the edge of the road. And he's suggesting that we keep the speed limit down until we get past the sawmill. Sawmill.
That's
Been referred to traffic committee.
So there's still a traffic committee.
Yes.
Yeah. I wrote back to him and I said I didn't know how we'd go with Transport New South Wales on that, but I put it to me.
I think it's unlikely that that would be a trigger for a speed zone.
Well, he's given me 2 examples where it has happened.
I'm not sure that safety factors into the criteria for speed zone change.
No, you'd have to do it if you're going to do it there, you'd have to do it everywhere because I see in that new tar section out the Enville Road, one got hit the other day just
Right.
on the new, so not only in the town bits, they're everywhere.
Thing in some email that came recently, I think it was Bureau of Adelaide Council, extended their speed zone out because they're having incidents. They're probably wombats or kangaroos they're hitting. A whole lot of hits, and they reduced it from 5 a week to 5 a year or something.
Wow.
In my humble opinion, there's quite a Facebook interest in our koala park, and as new koalas enter, it's publicised. And there was a koala who was a regular visitor called Dusty that the community got to love. they posted up about him, and within the week he was killed on the side of the road. So, and a juvenile female. So I really hope they do change the speed limit.
Oh, the Arabadella thing, you know what it was? They had a, I can't think of the right term, but an invisible fence. That's what they did electronically and reduced the kills way down.
Yeah.
I don't think it was koalas, but I'd imagine that's expensive. I don't know.
Some intervention would be great because they become celebrities in town, and it's not great that you then have to say this.
The one that was killed or seen on the road, where was that? Just in?
I think it was just out near this koala.
Yeah, the old male and the juvenile female were killed within a week, but there was one recently just out of Binga, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's one out of Binga killed.
But the difference between the koalas in the wild and the koalas that are getting hit just outside town, they've got names and identities.
Yeah. Well, remember your brother was going through Geelonga and there was the one walking across the road with a baby on its back.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should refer this Ian to our recording so we can hear the discussion.
Yeah.
It's going to the traffic committee. Well, that's a start.
It's been referred to Transport for New South Wales, and then when's the traffic committee meeting? It'll be on the agenda.
Right, yes. Thank you.
And when you look at and I know it's all for different reasons with the rulings for where the speed zones are, but when you look like coming in from my place going into town, you've got 50 k's way out there. And then if you're going up the main street, still in the main street, you can go 60 k's to go out there.
But it'd be fantastic if council were able to allocate speed limits for roads, which we are the road manager. But
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense.
I absolutely agree, and the process is very frustrating because we have no approval in that capacity.
Yeah.
We've had a speed zone review for Bingra with Transport for New South Wales. Well, it's probably been discussed for 20 years. It's been formally submitted and it's something they've been working on for at least 2.
Yeah, it just like wherever you go, like I mean, way out coming in from my way, but then you're still in the main street. You haven't even reached Nations Hill and you can go 60.
A narrow road, right?
Yeah.
Goes without saying.
Well, that's
just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is, if like we've got 80 coming in from about the bridge out there or something, or the Sawmill.
Yeah.
If you sit on the side of the road, there's a lot of people doing a lot more. So even if we cut it back to, I mean, what would we cut it back to? 60. You're still going to get, I mean, no trucks going through there doing 100 k's an hour when you're down the side show you.
I only have to get the motorbike cop there a few times because he fights at the bridge to the home.
Yeah. But anyway, we don't want to lose a koala.
No.
We saw one hopping across the Oregon Road there about a year ago.
Yeah.
There was one across our road, like Graham Hazegood was coming in and it went across and into one of our trees.
Right.
It's certainly a thrill, like seeing a platypus in there. It's a thrill, I reckon.
Well, once upon a time you got excited when you went to the zoo. Now we're seeing them in our own backyard. Don't tell everyone.
The kangaroos are another.
Yeah, that's a difference.
Just keep going on this report. I see this thing about the Orange Festivals on Saturday, 6th July. Can we let Willoughby know that? Willoughby Council straight away know that.
I'm sure that Susie has been talking to Willoughby.
She may have been.
And there's a delegation of 6 coming, including the mayor, and we're trying to find some suitable accommodation.
Right.
So they're aware.
Oh, good.
A delegation of 6 from the council.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Just on that, the general manager of Willoughby City Council, Deborah Just, has just recently announced her retirement. Her last day, it was the 1st of March. And we have sent a letter on behalf of the council congratulating her on her service.
I spoke to her on the phone too. And that was the main reason I wanted them to be informed, because I thought Deborah might have had the information and hadn't passed it on.
I'm sure Susie has been speaking to Tanya.
Yeah. The other thing I've got noted is and Councillor Mulligan, you spoke about this, the EMP, the document that you have to fill out and have an event. I'm taking exactly from what you said several months ago, we need to simplify that document. It's 50 pages. Can we put out a simple one if you tick and click or whatever?
It was complicated further by the child safe stuff that has been removed until we get further instruction from the governing body. Yes, it needs to be simplified, and we've had discussions about that.
Yeah, well, I do note on there too, it says that you got to submit your EMP, 4 weeks before. And yes, the insurance company has the right to turn it down, but what happens if you're not compliant with all the issues? I mean, if you're going to organise an event that's going to be on a month's time, and all of a sudden the insurance company says, well, you've got problems with it, it's a bit hard to call off, isn't it?
The insurance company never call things off. They just change it.
Yeah, so what happens is there's not enough time to make those changes. If you only got 4 weeks to do it and they send you those changes 1 week before the event, you can't exactly call the thing off.
That's not how they like to work. They like to have it 4 weeks out so you can make change. But unfortunately, a lot of our community committees are, and forgive me for saying slack, and leave things to the last minute, and then it's an issue. But they are the people that determine whether they're covered for their activities. So,
but if there was a simplified sheet running out, all those things would be covered in it. It's just compliance with the insurance company.
Yeah.
So that would be there. Tick something or other. You've done it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be right?
It's their form, the insurance company's form that we've made ours and rolled out.
Right.
But it's complicated, and we are working with them to plain English it. And I don't know that they've ever not said they're going to insure something, but I know that they have withdrawn any horse type activities. Like said to the committee, they can't have any high risk activities. So.
But what happens? Yeah, but if you have the event, they come back and say you've got to do this. You got to do these 5 6 trips before we'll cover you.
Yep.
Either the premium goes up to the council, or else the event can't take place.
No, but you can have all that in the form leading up to the event.
Yeah, I know, Don. I know. Yeah, I'm just playing the devil's advocate and saying what's the worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario is the insurance company comes back and says we're not going to insure this event, and
Yeah, that's right. That's
council
yeah.
will have to walk away. And if it's a Section 355 committee, we would stop it immediately because council's liable. If it's a community group, they would have to make the decision as to whether they progress or not without council's insurance.
Yes.
And unfortunately, because of the world we live in, it's getting more and more complex, and to get the underwriters to sign off on things.
It's really interfering with the way we live.
Events like that, I think it was in Tasmania, the jumping castle that blew away, things like that impact on everyone, and it certainly has impacted on council events. So our insurer will not cover any jumping castle anyway.
Even if they're tied down.
Even if they're tied down,
With all the ropes.
The pins, yeah.
They have them. Well, I have not done it.
it's only happened, we were informed the last 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
I think where that might have come from was there was an incident in Tasmania.
We just talked about that.
Yeah.
Because it came up last night at the PNA meeting as well.
Usually the people that provide the jumping castles would have their own insurance. And you can make sure on it. But if they have, that you cite the insurance, and then you can have a jumping castle.
That's how it works at shows.
Yeah.
We do cite their certificate of currency. Yeah.
But even as a council entity, it'd be different to a PNA, I imagine. To our insurer said to us that, the person that's hurt or the legal people representing them will often look at the organisation that they're most likely to get the most money out of. So that's why councils have to be a bit more aware that.
Well, they do that with shows too. They look at the committees.
Mm.
And they'd say, Mr. Mulligan's got money, we'll go in.
I was looking at Mr. Colton.
So the world's a crazy place, and we'll probably end up just all walking around with bubble wrap and cotton wool.
Why don't we go back to where you take your own risk?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
I wonder will it ever do it full circle.
Well,
The Liability Act made a bit of difference. The signs that you see now, do not swim, do not jump, is what we've got at Cranky Rock. That's brought a bit more reality into.
I saw a good one
if you walked into the, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I saw a good one the other day in the Territory. It said, please don't feed the crocodile.
Yeah.
If you walked into the showground at our our honey festival or whatever,
Mm.
and signed to get in there,
Waiver.
sign a waiver. Anything happens.
It's not worth the bit of paper.
I know that's what everyone says, but why?
I know it's ridiculous, isn't it?
When we go through the processes in the people that are competing at the show with waivers,
Fill them all
they're not
in,
worth two bob.
file them away.
It's got some merit for adults, but unfortunately, even parents can't sign away the rights.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
They do if they're under 18 at the shows, don't they?
They do sign it, but yeah.
And anyone under 18, that waiver form's got to be kept till that person turns 21.
Does it?
Yeah.
If there's an injury in our pools, we've got to keep them until the person is 70. What?
Till they're 70.
If there's some, yeah, that's what our records say.
Now then.
Yeah, you'll be right.
You've been,
It's one or the other.
you've been out for a while. The general manager's right too.
Why don't you go on the demolition derby?
It's only open to over 70.
Wheelbarrow race.
Is there any other questions?
Can I go back to the weed control?
Yes.
We skipped over it.
Okay.
I have had a request from a resident. Talking
What
about,
page are you on, Catherine?
163.
Thank you.
It was in that report.
Yeah, yeah.
A resident asking what can be done about all the woody weed, and they're talking about coming between Bingra and Warrial that you can't see through the reserves anymore. And as for grazing, what is it? The cottonwood? Cottonbush mimosa, or it's not really mimosa.
Prickly acacia.
That kind, and he goes,
But you're right outside our remit, you know.
I know we are, but this is a resident asking. I just want to be able to say I'd raised it in council because it is, they're right.
It's all Crown land.
We're just losing all control of our reserves because Crown Land spend no money.
So unfortunately, from prickly, mimosa, and mimosa is not an option word, so.
No. Far less responsible
It's
in any
natural.
way.
No, it's a natural. They're not. We were on a board there a few years ago, and I brought that up with all the mimosa out here. They changed it from being a
Introduced species to a naturalised.
something like that, a legume to a something or other else, but it's not
Not noxious.
basic word or basic word. So they just, more research I was trying to hammer it a bit there, but it still comes back.
African boxthorn's noxious, and Maori PP board probably spray the boxthorn in the mimosa. They get in there and it's how stupid.
So the answer is no, we have no jurisdiction over the reserve.
We don't have any jurisdiction. We'd have as a body, we could write and suggest.
Push them.
Well, it carries to our fire and all that sort of thing, because if the fire gets going in there, it either sweeps towards, won't sweep this way because the wind's the wrong way, but goes through the communities.
I think that's the only way we could do anything about it. We'd have to write to who? If not, is it LLS, Bobby?
Well, I might have to take it, or Crown Lands or
Public
LLS.
stock routes, is that what you're
What it is, yeah.
That's LLS.
And it's almost impossible now.
That's all we can do. And write the LLS, and they don't have any money, so.
Well, they might have to start asking.
I think you'd be better off writing the minister. So. The minister is responsible for dealing with it.
All right, that's one thing.
If you minister, I agree.
Make it kind of.
Yeah, might be. Definitely feel better there.
No,
Definitely feel better.
We're being recorded. I mean,
Yes.
Well, why don't we write
No,
to
that's not gonna happen.
Adam Marshall and he can issue a press release demanding that they do something about the travelling stock routes.
Yeah, it does. Okay, let's direct the letter to Adam Marshall. That'll do.
I did.
Okay, any other questions to Max's report?
The
Yes.
website, I did have a look at that. That's coming together by the looks of things.
Yeah, I think they're slowly
Getting there. Seems to be coming together. And then when we go to the doctors, like it's nice to have, I see the photo of Edward and Maddie, we had them in Bingra too, didn't we? And they were so happy to be part of both communities, and they went to both Christmas carnivals. Great young people, and and they were taking back positive vibes.
Good if they come back.
Yeah, they're taking back positive vibes.
And now come back if they want.
Anything else? Need somebody to move that the recommended report be received. Thank you, councillor Mulligan. One councillor. Councillor Dixon. Seconded it. Put the motion. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Okay. Next item is
Now we get to the exciting.
technical services report. Hey. Oh, maybe we should go through the calendar first.
Firstly, if I could just correct the Deputy General Manager on her statement that hers is the most exciting department.
So I usually disagree with that.
Certainly fluoro shirts and yellow machines. We'll buckle up. Happy to take any questions on what's in the report. It's been a fairly standard couple of months with our major projects ticking away fairly nicely. I suppose the big news since our last meeting is that the Gwydir Road project has been completed. Our next committee meeting will be held at North Star, and part of that meeting will be a celebration for the staff who worked on that project. It was completed in late January. Anyone who attended the North Star community meeting might remember I had a bet with one of the landholders we'd be finished by October, so I'll have to take a carton of beer to North Star with Christmas.
I thought he said Christmas.
He said Christmas, I said October. Yeah, a little bit ahead of myself.
Good to see.
We've commenced Wines Road and 5 kilometres of it has been sealed. There's a further 5 kilometres which will be sealed later this month, which will bring us to approximately the halfway mark on that. There's a substantial amount of drainage works that have got to be done in addition to the road works. Very good feedback from the locals there. They're very happy to see some.
Say that would be really well appreciated.
Yes.
It's been bad.
And it has. It has. Flood damage continues, making good progress, chipping away. At the big list, cash flow with Transport for New South Wales on flood damage works continues to be an issue. I believe that country mayors have taken up the charge now and are leading the charge now. It's an issue that's affecting natural disaster claims and the impacts are becoming significant. I'd refer to item 1 on the business paper as an indication of what will happen with that. Take any questions?
Yeah. How did we've got a photo of the wing wall at the Holy Mount Rehabilitation Project. How did it go with 5 inches of rain in half an hour?
Not so well.
No.
We lost a sizable amount of formwork, but we didn't lose any concrete. A whole lot of formwork ended up well and truly out of sight.
Yeah, incredible.
Unrecoverable.
Was there any other damage downstream from that event?
As in downstream from that particular.
Well, I mean, you were going to get some photos, and I didn't know whether you did it in Moki Creek or Road or any of those.
Adams Scrub Road had fairly
public,
fairly substantial damage on the first 4 kilometres from the highway heading east. It's probably the only road out of that event that incurred some damage, but serious summer storms have been a bit of a headache. Roads that we did some pretty intensive maintenance on in December of last year, Allendale Road, Munsey's Road, Agent Court Road, all similar sort of storm, excess of 100 mils in a short period of time, and we've got graders back on them now.
Yeah. So Gwydir Road wasn't impacted or?
Southern end of Gwydir Road was impacted.
Wasn't?
Not
bad.
severely.
No. Did you want to report on what's happening in your department, or would you do it in a confidential session?
Alex, so the keep getting asked all the time, that last 2 kilometres on the OB4 road, Moree to K's, they're still all going to happen.
So my understanding is that Moree Plains got funding under the Fixing Local Roads program to construct their end of that project.
I think they got $1 million.
$1 million, yeah. And I've been in talks with the engineering services director for Moree about tying in our design with theirs, so it's we're built to the same standard.
Will it
Yeah, it will be.
be? Good.
I have no concerns about it.
They won't do it on that budget.
They might have to employ Gwydir to do it.
We wouldn't do it on that budget.
That project's tracking
How much?
about $1 million under budget.
How much a kilometre that?
550, 600,000.
So they won't do it. No.
No.
Okay.
Don't you subsidise their share?
It'd be a council resolution if we were to.
Would you say that by Councillor Wigan? No.
No.
No, we never intended to do that, but we would have liked to have built it.
Yeah.
Any other questions about it? No?
Angelus Road's nearly, it's getting a little facelift, but she's gone now, so whatever.
No.
I watch for Gilgil.
Yeah.
Alma Lane's the important one there. Yeah.
Mr. Black as well. Somebody made the report there. Councillor Colton and seconded Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 7.6 December January investment rates collection. Thank you. Yeah, Kennedy.
I'm sorry, but we jumped too quickly. We didn't talk about the sewage. Or have
It's
we got
in
a
the
second
comprehensive-
report?
It's in the.
It's coming out.
Because it's here.
I-
I just want to.
I don't know whether we've jumped too quickly or you've been too slow.
I just didn't want to get.
No, it's in the confidential.
I'll accept that. You can.
I actually compliment you on doing it electronically. I can.
You
can when you say, I'm going to show her how to save it to,
Max?
Yeah.
Was there
it's easy when you save it to,
I can write on it then.
OneDrive. You can write on it when you save it to
Executive
OneDrive.
services. In there.
Just before we move on, I can probably tell you about the notice board in Warialda and what that's up to.
Oh, right.
Yes. So I know it has taken a long time, the notice board, but I seem to have to wait constantly for, it was the Department of Transport at one point, state roads, something like that, I can't remember. Then we are currently at the moment waiting on an electrician to come out from their guys to come and assess to make sure that the power in that is capable. And it's just taking a long time for them to seem to get someone. So
Where are actually exactly putting it, Justin? I know.
in the big, on the big,
What, in the lawn or?
yes,
Right.
between the 2 foot paths. Actually, there's one that runs through the middle and one
Oh, yeah.
at the front. It'll be in there, and we just hope the trees don't get in the way.
It's going to be readable from the road. You're
Yes.
going to point it slightly west, are you?
It's
Or-
double.
It'll be double sided.
Oh, so you'll put it, okay.
So then you can see it both directions when you.
You're going to be off the road a bit though.
Doing 50 Ks.
I wanted us to make sure about the lux, and it wasn't too bright, all
Yeah,
those things.
yeah.
So I had to go to the different departments. So
Mm.
you think it'd be a simple project.
How does that, who updates that? How's that going to happen?
I assume by the media and comms department.
It won't be the people in the big.
No.
And can that be done remotely?
Yeah, it'd be all 4G.
Yes, okay.
But it could be hacked.
Oh, I'll put a joke on it, mate.
Oh, your voice. Did you see that this morning, that they're going to hack with your voice to say that they need money? Like, so it will sound like, just say for Brock, for instance, they'll get his voice sending me a phone call saying, Mum, I need money.
And they've got all these council meeting recordings too, where they can steal your voice from.
Oh, yeah. Hope someone gives me a fortune.
Right. The 7.6, the investment collection. Thanks, Helen.
So that's December and January's. The rates collection is just for both months because it's on the same. So I can take any questions. Rates are slightly down, but hopefully that will pick up for February.
After this done next Christmas.
Yeah, I was hoping to be able to give you an update on the sale for unpaid rates auction that we're having, but unfortunately, the company we're using, both one of the staff members got really, really ill and has been away since before Christmas, and their other person that was looking after it had a heart attack at 26, so he's been away as well. Yeah, so they have been in contact with us this week to try and organise some details. So by next meeting, I should be able to give you an update on that. We did talk about it at another meeting. Where did we decide we would have the auction? Because they've asked us to nominate where we want to have it. So if you can come to an agreement as to where we have.
Go and get it.
Who's got the most? Go to the opposite end so that there's less conflict.
I don't know there'll be many locals that will, like, we've got to have a base, but it will also be.
Kelly Gully Sporting Club, right in the
Who
middle.
do you think will be conducting the auction?
I think they have determined.
Local.
Yeah, Anne
Right.
Reardon was doing. I think it was in the last meeting.
I don't think I know where it is. I don't know.
No, but I'd like someone here to decide.
Well, what are you going to suggest a venue? Where?
The Roxy.
Well, they normally do it in Bingara. Most auctions are held at the sporting club because it's a nice big open.
I wouldn't do it there.
I did one years ago, and I think it was in the CWA hall.
Yeah, I think it needs to be neutral territory. I think
Something like that.
Yeah,
So I didn't know whether you wanted to use the town hall here. That's
well, that'll be all right.
Down all of
No, that'll be okay.
L'Oreal town hall's in the middle of the Shire, and
Yeah, all right, let's do it there.
yeah,
Had many tractor.
I couldn't tell you because even if they've dropped off the list currently, once they're on that list, they have to be completely up to date, or they can go back on the list right up until the point of sale. So, because unfortunately, people do start making arrangements, and then right before the auction or straight after auction fall. So it's the same as us being able to pull them. They can get put back on the list if they agree to a payment arrangement, but then default prior to the sale. So. Hopefully.
Oh, sorry, you finished that. No. I just want to apologise for my ignorance, but can you tell me what our unrestricted cash position is?
So for the January, it was 5.5.
It's unrestricted.
It is fluctuating a little bit at the moment because we are seeing money come in for jobs that we've done and had to pay the money for. But while it looks good at the moment, we'll then have other jobs that are now getting worked on that we haven't had the money come in for. So it will still fluctuate monthly.
Yeah, I sometimes think of it, following on from your question, John, sometimes, given the total cash hold, it's almost interesting that line was split between tied and untied.
That's what I got.
Because it would actually show you, that goes back to the very first motion about our auditor friends.
Yeah.
To actually show you the split and what's actually happening. Two lines should actually come together or they staying apart.
I shudder to ask the question because it makes you look silly. I know, but
No, I think it's a good idea, actually.
I think the main thing is, Helen, is straightforward. How are we travelling?
At the moment, things look good.
Right, well, that's.
It's just the case that we have had a lot of our funding that hasn't been forthcoming come in and pay for a lot of jobs that we've already done. But as with all Alex's big road jobs, it's a really ordinary cycle where we've been paid for those, but now we're paying for other jobs that will be months behind in getting paid for. So, but no, I mean,
talk more about that in confidential session. We can add a factor.
Yeah.
Right. Is there any other questions of Helen? If there isn't, can I have a move and recommend Councillor Matthews and Councillor Dixon? Put the motion there in favour, say aye. Okay. Bingara office replacement on item 7.7. Do you want to?
Oh, this is an update. I thought you might be interested.
What's happening?
Since this report was written, it extended some of the tender had asked for additional information, and that meant that they had to extend the closing date by, I think it was only like 4 or 5 days.
How much of the demolition's left?
Well, the only thing that's left at the moment is Adams Garage in front of Vidax.
The fascia.
Yes.
Still left.
Yeah. Which is up to that.
So is there slack going?
Well, they're particularly careful there because of the wall next door.
Wall next door.
Is the slab gone?
Perhaps it's good you're not there.
Where the garage is, mate? Is the slab gone where the garage is on?
No, partially it's gone, but there's still a bit of that to take as well.
It looks like a swimming pool site at the moment.
Yeah.
It's been cleaned.
But I've got to say, you could not find a better contractor.
So that,
Excellent.
places of my company is minimal to be finished, because they're going to come and do this job here.
Yeah, well, I think they're very close now.
End of March.
John, there's been no noise, there's been no dust. It's gone and you don't see it happening because you've got the front of the building. I think it's been done very professionally.
I recommend, sorry,
We moved and seconded and moved on to the next report.
we haven't done that yet. No, I'm about to. Councillor,
Information's noted.
Councillor Egan's moved it and seconded by,
Yeah, we are hoping that with the extension, we still have an early special meeting, aren't we, Max? For that.
Yeah, they are hopeful of having the report to us, I think, with recommendations by the 17th of March.
Going to be 3 days earlier. I go away on the 14th. I really want to know before I go.
actually got to be a special meeting.
You'll still be able to have a
They
phone.
don't anticipate
Oh, that's
finishing
not
until the
good
15th.
enough. You can see it. Sorry.
They won't finish until the 15th, that's their target. They knew when you were moving.
No, I'm just making that comment. It'll have to be a special meeting because we can't do it at a committee meeting and it needs to be done straight away. Okay, I've got to move a second. I'll put the motion in place tonight. It's now carried. 7.8, the New South Wales reported crime statistics.
Now, I only put this in because I know that the perception of crime is a big issue in the community. And I thought it might be useful to actually have some statistics. I've been following these recorded crime statistics for some time now. And I've got to say, although we do have horrendous examples of some crime, we're very lucky to live in Gwydir.
Yeah.
Totally
All
agree.
right, this concerns me, this report, in that I think that our worst crime is never reported.
That's the trouble.
And
People aren't reporting.
No, and I'm talking about what we heard at the North Star community meeting. And so that's flying under the radar and therefore we're not getting the police attention that we need. That's what concerns me about this report.
I think that what we've got to do is encourage people to report things.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as bad as what you may believe if you know. I think there has been some examples, but I don't think it's as bad.
No, it's low. I agree with that. But I just think that a report like this, while it make you feel warm and fuzzy, takes away a bit of policing from the area. That's my.
And hopefully we.
Take any more, we haven't got any.
No.
Well, after the last meeting, I actually wrote to Adam Marshall, but I didn't get a reply about not having any police in our area because, they're all in Inverell.
Yeah, they're in Inverell every day.
But I didn't get a reply from Adam and, but that is the worry. There has been, and we spoke about that at last meeting.
Yes.
There's been lots happening and they all know the police are out of both towns.
Yeah.
But I have heard that they're supposed to be coming back, that Inverell has police officers and we're supposed to be getting ours back.
I raised at the LEMC meeting, question,
Oh, yeah.
after the meeting, not as part of the meeting, but when I spoke to the inspector that's in charge up there at the moment, because their ground's off for whatever. But he said there was 2 or 3 sergeants and about 6 constables attached to Inverell Station. They were all on extended sick leave. Which is stress leave.
Yeah, and they still count as being there.
And well, they can't replace them.
No.
They can't replace them until they're gone.
But they just got to bring people.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, so it's he felt for our situation, but he said.
Thunder.
Here it comes again. Oh,
But, so it's sort of I've been happy.
Jamie Chappie was on the news.
Jamie Chappie did a big.
It's interview.
Well, there's actually, I think it's in March on the 9th, is it?
The meeting.
There's a crime thing at the Parliament House in Sydney.
That's right.
Which possibly I sent detail to.
you would like to go. Like, you're
It's
always
just, it's a normal meeting and that's the focus. Yeah.
And Jamie was really upset with the police commissioner that took down everything
Yeah.
and talked about, but didn't.
Did you see him
recognise-
interviewed the other night? Or
Yeah,
like on
I
there?
heard him
He did quite well.
See him.
Yeah.
He did very.
You got there last night about arson.
Or was he?
Like burning of cars, stealing cars. It was interesting because we see a fair bit of it from around here. And I expected our neighbours down the road to come up, and it wasn't, it was Canada.
Yeah, but
Came up like the top
yeah.
areas for this type of thing was going on, so, yeah, so.
Despite everything, John, I reckon we've got to keep, councils have got to keep the pressure on the government to, it's the same up in Queensland there now. There's got to be something done to stop it because whatever we're doing the last 20 or 30 years, it's not working. And it's got to come from the community.
The
Governments won't change it.
other disappointing thing that's happening, I believe, is that it's a bit like getting doctors. They won't come to the bush and police won't.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to work out. Anyway, yeah, all we can do is keep reminding our local management.
I think. Actually, Councillor Smith says, Rob, one of the issues in Queensland now is that the police working on the ground don't believe they're supported by the police up here.
Yeah.
And I think there's a little bit of that in New South Wales as well.
So with the judiciary more than anything. I think.
Yeah, well, people have become scared of consequences of strong behaviour. By the police.
Yeah.
And that's what's needed.
Yeah.
Basically.
The magistrates aren't following through on anything.
Should be able to still kick a few backsides.
Yeah.
And that's been recorded. Thank you, Councillor Phil. Okay, there's no action
Nothing
needed.
wrong with a baseball bat in a dark alley. No,
That's like dead right.
There's no need for any action on that sort of notation. Councillor reports, so I'll go under that.
Well, first of all, you need to move it second.
Well, I didn't think you did. It was only from that.
Yeah.
Has you got a recommendation?
We've still got the quarterly review report.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
I'll move the information be received.
Thank you, Councillor Scott, seconded. Councillor Egan, those in favour say aye. I missed the call, the 7.9, December quarterly review.
So there haven't been any major, out of the ordinary changes. The changes that have been made are just those that we could make to make it a far more accurate budget to what we expect the end of the year to actually look like. One of the biggest ones is probably the $2.2 million worth of depreciation that has flowed through since the budgets were prepared for after end of financial year. And like with the investment report, council is in a good position at the moment, and we continue to make sure that rolls right through till the end of June. Has got any questions?
You're not leaving, are you?
I would hope if our position's good at the end of June, it will also be good in spring.
What's the difference? You got rates and annual charges projected the end result actual.
Yep.
What they did.
So when the quarterly review was completed, that's what we thought it would be. But since then, well, they change monthly because all the supplementary lists come through and how things are rated, and so it's actually high. So that will be fixed in the March quarterly review because that it shouldn't change much from there in the next few months.
No. I didn't think it would change at all. I didn't understand.
Yeah, no, unfortunately it does because we get new pension concessions,
I see. Yeah.
All those sorts of things.
Yes.
Which they are pushing to increase the pension concession. So which will have a big impact on our council if it goes up. We foot half the bill unless.
Tell me, it's only for age pension, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's their
Is that for
primary.
pension?
Yes, all
Not just for age.
Age and disability. Then I'll put it that way. You know what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, I just wondered if.
Yeah.
And it's got to be your primary residence. So if you don't live in the house, you don't qualify for that rebate. But because we've put half of it, if it does go up, I imagine they'll keep the formula the same, and we're still putting half the increase.
Yeah.
Pretty cost shifting.
Yeah.
Any questions or? Helen?
Bingra. I think we'll go back to work efficiency.
I see efficiencies, I'd say.
Efficiencies of the app, but I just thought maybe not running all those individual.
I think as far as cleaning and all that stuff goes, it will, because I know we've got a lot more to clean at the moment than just one,
Yeah,
especially a new building that will be relatively easy to keep clean, as opposed to the Roxy and the hairdressings and all the other places we're under that. Oops.
Is there any questions, Helen? If there isn't, I'll be calling for removal of the recommendation. Councillor Mulligan, Councillor Moore. I'll put the motion over and don't say aye. Against no. Carried. Thank you. Now we go to council report. But then we're going to go to you, I because then we go one next. Councillor Goldman.
Thank you.
You've probably
Had the pleasure of attending the VROC meeting in the Warriner month. Interesting sort of meeting. One of the presenters there was an ex-employee from here who gave a report on what they're doing in Moray Plains in regard to monies that are coming into certain organisations in big quantities and not being properly accounted for. And so that was very interesting side of things. There was quite a few other bits and pieces cross-border wise. One that did come up was that air ambulances have changed planes. They've got bigger planes now. Neither of our strips are suitable for air ambulance to land on. So if we've got air ambulance here, it's got to go to Inverell or Moree. I said, do you know what the requirements are? And they said no, but it's probably worth having a look at to see what requirements.
Too short, is it?
Yeah, I don't know whether it needs to be a longer strip or whether it's going to be an all seal strip or whatever. So maybe that's something for.
We were approached as long ago as 2 or 3 years. Must have been while they were in the planning stages of upgrading the aircraft. We provided information at the time and expressed the desire to work with them as they work through their procurement process. So at least the Warriata airstrip, which is the more robust of our two, could be upgraded to suit. Very happy to reach out. And as I said, it might be quite simple, as at the time they were just talking about increased weights, not increased takeoff lengths. So it was likely that it was more of a pavement issue than an extension of the.
I think they've also, from what I could gather, it was it was sometimes a bit hard to hear, but they were also talking jets.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's probably worth reaching out to air ambulance and we find.
I reckon that's an emotive issue. It could be $1.
Yeah, that's worth looking at. The only other thing, and I think I've got is in regard to put my other hat on the showground here in Warriata and say thank you very much to the building staff of the Shire for the work that they've done down there. The work is almost complete on the upgrading of the old toilet.
Yeah, it's good.
So hopefully, Helen, that bill that we've got with you, the government will give us the money eventually so we can give it back to you. So it's a bit of a worry, it's always been a bit of a worry for NA.
Are they waiting for the completion of?
Yes, I spoke to Graham. We got a thing the other day and I spoke to Graham and he's going to do a report on the equivalent of that. So they won't, I don't think they'll let there's 60,000 still to come.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll let that come until
it's completed.
That's completed. And the other thing is thank you to the council for the sponsorship of our show. Will be recognised, the Body Shire Council will be recognised as a gold sponsor of the Warriata show. We thank you for that, monetary and in kind. So that's from the PNA. Thank you. I think I've got one for confidential.
Yeah, I have too. Okay.
That's it.
Councillor Moore? And yeah, don't forget that you've got the option of going into the conference session. Yeah.
No, nothing really too much to report, but Natasha Price asked me about storage at Nicholson Oval in the new building. She said they've started up little athletics.
Oh, yeah.
There's no storage for them over there to put their equipment.
I wouldn't have a clue.
And wondering if there was a container around that they could use. There's a spare container. There's one over there, but I think they've already got it for stuff already for that. That was one thing she asked me about. They currently got all the stuff stored at someone's house and using the high school to do their athletics, little athletics. One for Alex, probably bins in front of the baker shop. We've got two bins there. Why would there be two bins together there and one with slats missing on it? That'd be pretty untidy.
I'm unaware of that, councillor Moore, but we will address it.
It's in front of her. No, what's his name? Yeah.
Ravi.
No, in front of Ravi's, you know.
Yes, I would. Yeah. Frequent visitor of the cafe next door, councillor Moore. Not an infrequent visitor of the bakery.
Is that it for you, Councillor?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
Just one thing. We've got an Anzac Day committee started up. Carl Turley, myself, and a few of the other council staff, plus Charles Allen. But that one of the members, Donna Smith, every year that up at the high school, they get the high school kids to go out to the cemetery and put a flag on all the old diggers. What's it, 1 and 2 and whatnot. And something they've been doing the last few years. The flags that they've got there now have deteriorated at the stage, and they need about 300 of them. She's got a grant for about half the money, and was requesting whether we could help out to the stage of about $750. If we can't do it, I'll try and chase up the money somehow myself. But if it was, it's just she actually was right here the other day, and she was crying. And it was so emotional for her, and she said it was just a big thing for the kids to go out there and walk around. They put about 300 of them out.
I think little Australian flags.
Just little Australian flags with a stick on them about that long and a flag, about like that. And they just put them there, and I think they picked them up a few days after.
That needs to be made public, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I didn't know about it.
There was photos on Facebook and I was quite frightened.
Yeah, no, but she was crying.
And we can do that out of donation.
Well, that'd be good.
We've got money.
We'll have to.
Will you ask her to email me and just email me where she wants the money sent?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Has she got the flags?
No, I don't think she's got them yet. She's got a grant for 750 through the RSL or some other mob, but she said I can't. She was going to try and fund them herself. And
No, I just wondered because the man at the post office, his name escapes.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can get all that sort of thing,
He
and
might even be doing that through him. I don't know.
he's so competitive
Yeah, right.
price wise
I mentioned that too. Yeah.
with all that sort of thing.
It's good.
All right. Thanks for that. Yeah. Anyway, I'll go. But
Thanks, Jim. You got anything else? Or?
no, that'll do, mate. Yeah.
Councillor Matthews, you got
No,
nothing? Councillor Mulligan?
Nothing, but I would say, to congratulate all the Australia Day recipients with the Shire. I think they're some real deserving people there. So
Good day too, isn't it?
very good.
Good country. Councillor Dixon,
Yes,
would you rather say it in confidential system?
We've got to rewind after.
the car park at the medical centre in Bingra, that's still under Shire.
Yeah.
Well, the potholes in there are a disgrace. And they're full of water, they're everywhere. If you don't go out, you'll go in one, you're that short.
I'll have it addressed, councillor Dixon.
Thank you.
You've got to get some baiting.
It needs grading under the carport again too.
Right.
You haven't been standing there with a fishing line.
And also the footpath outside the Ratings Club, that's there. What's going on there? It's all fenced off there, been like it for months. In Cunningham Street, just behind the Roxy Cafe.
Cunningham behind the Roxy Cafe.
It's in
front of the Radiance.
In front of the.
I could only assume that it's part of the bigger program that's being carried out. We've got at least 3 locations that are in a similar situation where formwork's been put down and rains come and put back pours. I can get some specific information on that one for you.
I just asked because I was complaining because their feet were getting wet and not because they couldn't walk on the footpath.
Right, that'd be terrible.
That would be the ones that live there.
It's we're rolling out $800,000 of footpath. There's bound to be some situations where weather gets in the way.
I've been away, Mash. That road you were interested in, has that ever been fixed up? What was it? The one?
Not Lovers Lane.
No. What's the road?
On Belly Street.
On Belly Street.
No, it hasn't been finalised yet, has it?
In case you were just forgetting about it.
We've had protesters.
The end of June, Max, you told me, right into the.
Yeah, well,
And we have the trees in, the resealing has taken place.
Good, they're looking good. And also, Max, I did speak to you about the dead tree in Cunningham Park.
There's a time limit on this.
You're painting is blue.
Get a bell to ring.
I'll pass that on to Andrew. I'll follow it up.
I know the thing about it. Yeah.
Anything else?
That.
Yes, Calvin. What have you got?
I've
Nick?
said everything.
Nothing. Oh, gosh. Okay. Somebody note that.
I'd like to make
We come up with something.
As Megan's put her glasses on, so I know.
For this. Well, I just want to say we had a showground meeting the other day that I thought could have gone anyway, but it went very well. We're building a new camp draft arena out in the middle of the old Hollow Cross fields.
Oh, yeah.
It's so that it brings the trucks in and we're not going through the crowd. So that's happening. The pigeons are going to be dealt with.
We've been saying that
Catherine's
forever.
holding the guns.
No, we're just netting it so the poor little critters can live in peace. So it's going to be netted, but it's got to be done before May. And I did have Lyndon raised at the Australian Day recipients. Could we, council, send them a letter congratulating them on their great works? And can I just say that we had a wonderful ambassador on our Australia Day?
Yes, I heard you did. Yes.
Yes, and fantastic.
No freight much on him.
We had put on this Chris at the very last moment.
Yeah.
Would he step up, which he did, and he did a fabulous job and filled in, and everyone was very interested. And sometimes I think we get better response out of having our local people do things than we do having ambassadors.
That's all right. I was going to sleep in that day.
Not without being on the door, you weren't.
Knock
You did
on
a
the
great
door.
job.
Quarter past. It was 10 minutes past 7.
6.
Yeah.
That was very good.
it?
The 6.
You did a very
Was
good
it?
job.
Can you give a
Jenny
speech
rang
in
me.
now? Yeah, do it easy. Do it on your ear.
And the other thing, did we write a letter to Alex Rubin? He was to be our ambassador and hit a kangaroo. I think we should sort of.
Well, apologise for the kangaroos.
No,
Tell him to
very
splendid.
I had a interesting call from a volunteer at the Vic in Morialdo who said, I'm not even going to give away the gender of the person, that they feel that it has declined very badly. That person has been there and there hasn't been things to hand out about maps or something. I don't know what it was.
Yep.
But since who was it that left? It's gradually gone in decline. And
Okay.
I don't know. I'd ask you to investigate it anyway.
Yep.
And I know that the number of volunteers have dropped right off to virtually nil.
Yep.
And I think that's probably because it's in decline.
Yep.
I have spoke to Graham about that. They were waiting until the updates to the building were done because it will be shut once we get the quotes in and those upgrades get done there. We will be shifting from there back to this building for the 4 or 6 weeks that it takes to do the renovations up there. So they were going to wait until after that, because that could be in the next couple of
I'm just delivering a message. I don't really understand. I haven't been there to see this.
Yeah.
But the point was made that since we put the service centre in there to save on staff.
Yes.
But since that happened, there's sort of lost a staff member that was focused on tourism, and whether we can afford to all of that, I don't know. But I'm delivering the message anyway that it's been declined.
We need to train our customer service staff in the tourism element. Yeah.
And the other thing I was going to comment on now was the United Services Union have announced that we've got a state government inquiry now into financing for local government that they've been working on along with others. But it was a nice announcement anyway that they've been successful. Yeah. It's to do with cost shifting and funding, lack of funding. That's all I have in this session, part of the session. So the next thing is moving. Would you like to have a break? Have a little wee break if you like. So we'll call a break and we'll come back into confidential session. Now we need to adopt the recommendation of, can we have a mover that we adopt the recommendations of the confidential? I'll read them first.
From the confidential session, the report, confidential organisation and community services report. The recommendation is that the report be received. On the executive services report, the recommendation from the committee of the whole is that the report be received. With regard to higher grader purchases, the recommendation is that council proceed with the purchase of Caterpillar 150M grader serial number CAT 00150 JB 5500505 for $240,000, excluding GST, from Fenworks Proprietary Limited without inviting tenders due to substantial rebates in hire fees, representing extenuating circumstances that would not result in a satisfactory outcome being achieved by inviting tenders. In relation to plant hire and services tender, the committee recommendation is that the report that the council adopt a list of recognised contractors for plant hire and services as a panel contract comprising all companies tendered, excluding AD excavation and machine hire, subject to agreement of terms and conditions. Further, the delegated authority is given to the general manager to conduct all relevant functions under the panel contract. Oh, well, there was no recommendations as regards.
Okay, somebody like to move that we adopt that recommendation? Councillor Matthews and seconded Councillor Smith. Put the motion, those in favour. Against, no. Declare it carried, and we can close the meeting at this stage. Thank you very much for your attendance.